Hey, we're here with Danny'sCards.com, and today we are going to take a look at this paper pack that comes from Cardmaking and Papercraft. You can get this at Michael's, and these are always kind of a gamble. You kind of never know 100% what you're going in. So it says 16 cute stamps, embossing folders, 8 design papers. So we're going to take a look at what's inside, and then we're also going to see if we can design something really quick. So let's open it up and see what is inside. So, this is the gold stuff, right? This is the thing that we kind of look forward to the most, which is the actual paper pack and the embossing folder. So, let's see what we have here. So, we got a fireplace. All you need is love and a dog or a cat. Looks like you have to cut these two, right? They look like they are together. All right, so you're going to need to cut between those. You have the cat's whiskers. A house is not a home without a blank. Dog, cat, and then we have our embossing folder. And let's take a look at some of the paper that we got with this. So we have this. This is adorable, right? We have this 2 sheets of this dog paper, 2 sheets of this confetti paper. Oh, these paw prints and these fish bones, absolutely adorable. So we got 2 sheets of that, and our final 2 sheets are these bones with paw prints. So we got that. Here's the issue itself, right, which is always nice to look at, right, and they have some, I'm sure, fantastic ideas on what to do, right, some ideas, always some furniture sales, they love that, right, so 10 ideas with fairy silhouettes, that's fantastic. I have some nice fairy dies, right, so the thing with these is always kind of a little tricky because it's European, so we don't get them in America, and you can't use your Michael's coupons or your Joann's coupons on any of these, so it always seems a little pricey on some level. Oh my gosh, I love this cardstock, it's gorgeous, right? So I definitely will be using this. I'll definitely be ripping some of this out. That is adorable, adorable. Oh, some nice tags are inside as well, right? So there's some really nice pieces within here. Let's see what else we have. So, 16 quick projects for January, which just tells you how long it takes for these kind of products to come to us, right? Because right now it is June, nearly July, right? Some really beautiful spring-looking collections, and that's just fine too. And then they have some features, card making in Spain. Oh, I have a bunch of bee dies. I love the red. I've never done a bee card with red. I'm always doing the yellow and black. So this might be great because I definitely have these dies from a previous issue. So, oh, and some nice templates so that we can create some of those really 3-dimensional kind of shapes. Oh, and a nice tracer as well to make pop box. So these are always kind of fun little grab bags. They range in the US around 15, 16 bucks. You can't get a subscription, unfortunately, so there's that. So we're going to try to make a card today. We're going to see what we can come up with, all right, using our cardstock. And I am just absolutely in love with dogs. I have my own little dog. His name is Remington. So I'm thinking a house is not a home without a, and then maybe we'll use this. I want to use the embossing folders, so we're going to have to try to find a way to use that. So let's get to work and let's see what we can create. So today I'm just going to use my paper cutter. I do have a guillotine, but there's a sense that that might be just a little unwieldy to be using while on camera. So here we go. So I'm looking at this, and it really doesn't 100% matter. I'm noticing the paw prints are going in this direction. So if I'm gonna make an A2 card, right, and I have a bunch of pre-made A2 sets here, right, I'm definitely thinking I gotta go 5 1/4 lengthwise, right? So I'm just gonna go like this and go 5 1/4. Oh, so much paper to waste. It's all right, here we go. Just make that nice cut, right? And then we're gonna go 4 inches, right? And this is gonna establish our nice little base. So I have a bunch of pre-made cardstock because that's kind of the way that I like to roll, but I have a bunch of pre-made A2 brown cardstock, and I love this cardstock because it kind of gives a little bit of a antique-y kind of look. All right, so just looking for the bend. All right, definitely need to grab my bone folder. So I'm just gonna slide that over. Take out my bone folder. All right, so this pre-made cardstock, not the most expensive. I think I got it for like $2 on an AC Moore clearance section. But I think that would make a very nice little design right like that. So I'm just gonna grab my glue. Always a big fan of my tape runners. Delightful. And we have the start of a very cool looking card. Now, if you're like me, you probably have a giant scrap box. So I'm definitely going to need that in just a second. But I'm going back to these dies and I'm going to take a look at these. I'm going to pop these off. This is always kind of a little bit of a push. Now you have to be careful. These stamps, if you've ever purchased these, you know the quality can be a little bit mixed. I can't always say that the quality is really extraordinarily high. So just be careful as you peel out any of the stamps that they don't break. I've had a couple stamps break on me in the past, which is always like the most disappointing after spending $15. So just be careful. Oh goodness, this is a much bigger stamp than I realized. A lot of the stamps come kind of adhered together, so you have to spend some time with some scissors. So I have to grab my trusty scissors, and I want to use, I like this doghouse. This doghouse is absolutely adorable. And you can feel it, so you want to make sure as you're pulling, you're just not grabbing too much and that the whole stamp doesn't rip. Once they're off, they're totally fine, all right? But before that, you really can come into some errors. So this kind of terrifies people that they come like this. This shouldn't terrify you. You should feel free to take your scissors and make the stamps usable for you, because a house is not a home without a, right? I don't think you want a dead fish on there, all right? So you just have to be careful as you cut, all right, that you're really just cutting out on the design. I don't know why they feel inclined to stick these together, but that's okay. It's no big deal. You just make sure you get what you need off of it. Oop. All right, so I'm just gonna put the little cat's whiskers off to the side. All right, and then I just gotta do this one. All right, I wanna make sure I can see clearly. Always being careful not to actually injure the stamp itself. All right. So I've got that. So what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna dig up some white cardstock. I'm gonna go into my scrap pile. I must have some white generic cardstock, and I do. Look at that. All right, so we've got that. we have our 2 stamps that we're going to use, right? And then we also need some ink. So I have my Stays On brand ink, right? This is my favorite kind of ink. I find that the ink lasts longer than other brands. Got my blank blocks, right? And I can see already that's going to be too small. All right, so this is perfect for this size. I'm going to put that there. And we're going to put that there, right? And we're going to see how this goes. So, popping it open. So I usually make a couple stamps of these. I don't just do one. One, because I know the first one never comes out perfect. I'm not the best stamper. I've tried to purchase a whole bunch of different products. I've bought stamp shimmies. I've purchased stamp liners. And I have to say, my quality of work on stamps is really never that great. Sometimes I give a little blow on them just to make sure. Sometimes it's based on the ink pad itself. I find stamping on a card mat also makes this a little problematic, but we're gonna see. I've got it nice and wet. All right, I'm looking at it, making sure each line is filled, and we're gonna see how the first stamp goes. So let's see, all lined, and a nice little press. Now I've seen people just press, I've seen people do the tap, but you gotta be careful when you do the taps like this. Sometimes you get that like extra smudge, but these blocks, they're really solid. That tends to not happen. I got these, this is just a Recollections block stamp set. Oh, it looks great, right? We're gonna do one more because if I make more cards, I like to make sure we got plenty. All right, so that looks fantastic. I'm so excited. My partner was saying, "You're not going to use these," and I said, "The heck I'm not." All right, nice one. Go. Nice little press again. All right, make sure it's nice and firm. Hopefully this one comes out even nicer than the first. I'll use both of them anyway. I don't really care. If one stamp doesn't come out strong, sometimes I still use it. What I do is I set it on the background, use 3D adhesive dots, and kind of give it that little extra pop dimension. So, we got that. Oh, looks just as good as the first. All right, so I'm gonna give that a quick wipe down. All right, I like to keep my stamps in the best possible condition as possible, especially because it was $15 for just a few stamps. All right, that's always a little terrifying. I'm just going to lay that out over to the side to dry. All right, and then I have the saying itself, right? The house is not a home without a blank, right? And I'm wondering, I'm thinking, should I put a dog? I'm not going to. I'm thinking this might be perfect for a new dog owner, right? Like, you just got a pet, I'm so happy for you, right? So I'm not thinking of any sentiments inside. I think this is just nice and simple. Give a little blow on that. This looks solid. All right, I always have a terrible time. Let's see, press. Oh, I can feel the stamp kind of move. Give it that little firm press. Oh, looks great. I mean, I'm gonna stamp one off to the side in case I decide to give it a special little cut. Worried about that A, it just looks so bold. Afraid it's not going to come out right. Yeah, you can see how the home is a house is a little brighter. So I'm going to give it one more because I'm already here. It doesn't look terrible though, you know. That's part of, to me, that's part of card making, that it doesn't look pristine, you know. I don't want it to look just like another Hallmark card. And there we go. That looks pretty solid as well. So I'm going to give that a quick wipe down. And I'm going to pull out my Copic markers, right? Because we definitely want to give this a little bit of color. Get a little shine. All right. So I majorly invested in a bunch of Copic markers. Better decisions have been made. So Copic markers are fantastic, but pricey. So you're looking around $8 to $9 a marker. So it's for serious crafters. I had a nice pair of watercolor markers for a long time, but they dried out. And I heard that Copic markers work a little bit better. So that's how I ended up this. So I have this lipstick orange, which I'm not sure is the right color, but we're gonna see. And I have this light rouge. So there's that. I'm looking at this cool gray for maybe the bone. And we're gonna see. So let's just go off to the side. All right, let's grab a little. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Right, this is the lipstick orange. Let's see how it looks in comparison to the light rouge. Not a wild difference really in the grand scheme of things, so that's okay. All right, so if you're ever using Copic markers, I've seen a bunch of different ways. Some people do a quick 1-2 on their coloring. All right, for me, I do the circle method. So it's very quick circles, making sure none of it is kind of overlapping. It really gives it that extra dimension. So to me, a good investment, when I purchased my first set, I bought the 24 marker collection for whatever exorbitant price that I paid, and that was a mistake. I later learned you should purchase your markers in the 3 sets, and what those 3 sets do is they give you a nice blend. So after I got my big marker set with a bunch of random markers that had nothing to do with each other, I had to go back and fill out my collection. And that made it extra pricey. And those blend sets, they're really nice. I would order them on Michaels. You can use your coupons on them. They're frequently buy one, get one 50% off. And that way, if you get a bum marker, because just like any other product, sometimes they come out a little bum. They might be dry or oversaturated. You can return it to a Michaels store. And now that everything's opening up again, that makes everything really worthwhile. So, and you can see how nice the marker looks. Got a little overflow there, right? A little lighter on the bottom. I'll fix that in a bit. All right. So you could always watercolor these. I think that would be great. Maybe a nice little yellow doghouse instead of red. I don't know why I went to red. It just kind of makes me think of a little doghouse. So there we have that. I'm going to use the gray for the bone. It's adorable. It's good. Right, there's a question of what should go. So I was saying yellow just a minute ago. So I'm going to pull out my other Copics. I'm thinking lemon yellow might be perfect. It's a little on the weak side, but this might give it just that little extra pop. Look at that. It's cute. And so there's that. I am no great marker entrepreneur, very much an amateur on the marker side of things, but it's nice to have extra tools because it gives me more stuff to buy. So we got around that. So that's looking very nice and vivid. Alright, so we got our yellow. I'm looking at the interior. You know, it really needs kind of like a light brown on the inside. Right, so I got the sand color. Perfect, right? To look like a, I want it to actually look like a doghouse. There we go. The tricky part with stamps is, and using markers, is sometimes you get a little bleed through once you start going over the black, which is why I get very hesitant when I start going over the black areas. You know, and these all cost such a pretty penny. You don't want anything to happen to the marker itself, so I'm just going over it a second time. Came out a little lighter than I intended. Oof, just had a little bleed through, but that's okay. Better. I'm thinking for the top of the house, a darker gray, C7, cool gray, would probably be perfect. I always do a little test. It's a little on the dark side, but I think that's just exactly what I'm going for. Much darker than I thought. When it dries, it should cool just a little bit, so I want to go light, markering. Just got to do the shingles. We're going to hit it with another round of yellow, and I'm going to show you some shading techniques with the red. We're just going for it. It's like you can't be too dainty with these dark grays. I got this. We'll see how that dries. You can see it's already fairly dark, right? But that's less of a concern. So the great thing about Copic is you can shade, and the shading, you want to think about your light source. So if the sun is hitting it in a certain direction, right? But I'm liking where the actual panels are, so I'm just going to hit that again, right underneath each panel, just to see. And I'm not getting too much differentiation, right? So this is where another color of red would be a little helpful. All right, so in addition to light rouge, I have vermilion, right? Which I don't know if that's gonna cut it. It's a little darker, so let's see if it looks, that's nicer. Right, so this is why having the triple packs is really helpful, because it really gives the house a little extra dimension. So just right underneath each shingle, just hitting it just a little extra. Good. And then for the final touch, we're going to hit that with the yellow one more time. See if I can bleed out some of that brown. Perfect. I barely knew it was there. There we go. It's already finished, so I don't want to hit it too much. Oh yeah. So this is our little house. We have our little sayings. All right. And we can do this one of two ways. It depends on how fancy we want to get, right? So we could pull out our little cuddle bug, right, and see if I have a nice little square that could make the cutout pop a little bit, right? I definitely want to use a circle die cut for the house. The house is not a home without it. So, the assortment of different die cuts, and I'm looking to see if any one of these measures up, and I don't actually think I am fortunate enough for that case, that I'm looking at these, and it's really, I didn't give myself enough space, right? So I'm gonna have to manually cut. So, to see, I got some cute heart dies, but that's not gonna really, no, don't think so. All right. So we got that. We do have circles, all right, but it's not really the design that I'm looking for. So I'm thinking actually the best case scenario for this, rather than an actual die cut, is merely to use my paper cutter. And so, just gonna, what I'm hoping, good. I was a little worried that my markers overran, and I was gonna lose a little bit of that. So it looks pretty good. I just want to get a little bit more off the side. Beautiful. You know, just to make it look as neat as possible. There we go. We have our little doghouse, which I love. No one should be anywhere without some punches. So I'm gonna use this punch, see if this lines up just the way I want. So home without a, perfect. Great. So we have all that. Another thing I am thinking about is how to make these pop just with a little even more dimension, right, as we go to finish up our card. So what I'm looking at is a way to make these pop, and that's to give them a little bit of a background and put some 3D adhesive dots on the back to give it a little dimension. So I'm going to pull out my 2-inch hole puncher, and I'm actually going to reach into that pre-made cardstock that I have. And I'm never afraid to use this because it is kind of a cheap, low-quality cardstock, right? But I'm thinking this might look really cool. That's perfect. And then I'm going to use the square. I'm just going to adhesive that down. There we go. So we're lining that up nice. So when we take the paper trimmer, we can really get just the perfect cut. So, here is my paper cut, right? Looking where that lines up. Looks about right. Let's hope. Perfect. Right, a little on the thick side, but we're going to leave it as is, because sometimes with these Fisker cuts, you lose a little too much on the side, and you get a wonky looking card. Got that. Gotta put my scrappings to the side. All right, now we just have to do the final piece. So 3D adhesive dots, you know, depending on which brand. This I got off of Amazon, 3D foam tape by Best Creations. They're really cheap and they feel cheap, so I wouldn't recommend them. They just don't give the height that most adhesive dots do. Like, there's a certain depth perception that's lacking with these compared to other brands. The One Dot Company, the one with the little owl on it, theirs, they really pop. The Anna Griffin 3D dots, they're pretty good, that come with any of the sets. I'm not over the moon about them either, but at least they have the dimension that you're looking for. They just feel, for as high quality as Anna Griffin stuff is, her adhesive dots leave something to be desired. So I'd recommend the company with the little owl on it. So I think the nice thing about these ones, though, there were so many, and I think it was like $1.99 for 500, is I don't mind wasting them. So other dots, I get like a little hoardy about it, and I start to cut them in half and really try to make sure that I'm not wasting any. These, they're so cheap. I'm like, waste away. So I'm thinking for this card, in terms of spacing, we're gonna go very simple. We're gonna go with the center. Well, we're gonna play around with that in just a second. So before I adhere that, I need to adhere this. So many adhesive dots. But like I said, I don't feel too guilty with this company to overuse them. A house is not a home. It's nice, it gives a nice little side dimension, right? And I'm gonna pop this up even. All right, so just in 3 more adhesive dots should do the trick. I like to put 2 on the upper portion and 1 on the bottom, but I could always just do 4 and 2 and 2, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, but this isn't an overtly fancy card, so I'm not worried about giving it all of that extra layers. So to me, this looks, thinking here, maybe here, and this off to the side. Let's give it a whirl. Dead center, or thereabouts. And it's just a little bigger than I thought it would be, and that's okay. Thinking right about there. All right, and I can see it's a little flimsy. It's not holding its form, so this definitely is in need of 4, maybe even 5 dots. So just get that extra. So that way, it looks a little, paper just might need a little bend too. Right. we've made our first little card out of the card making and Papercraft thing. So a worthy buy, right? Plenty of stamps to use, plenty of ideas. The paper inside is fantastic, and you have lots of little tags and other information inside. So a worthy purchase, right? You can get that at your local Michael's or Joann's. Thanks for watching. For any other questions, feel free to stop by on daddyscards.com.